Hi guys, welcome back to Creative Frenzy. So I have been playing with, playing cards obviously, for the last week and a half or so. Anyway, I've come to the conclusion that playing cards are very versatile. So because of their slick surface, they hold alcohol inks quite nicely. So I have my alcohol markers. I have the dollar store ones, and then I have the Spectrum Noirs, and I also have the hobby color ones. So the hobby color ones are a little bit too light for my taste for the, so it depends on what look you're going for, obviously, but I prefer the darker colors because they show up nicely. So that's what I've been using. And then all I've been doing is using an alcohol swab. A lot of mine from my first aid kit have expired, so I was experimenting. I'm not using a whole bunch of alcohol, but just a little swab just to dab on it. And then this is basically what it ends up looking like. So I like the grunginess of it. So if you wanted to do a whole deck of cards like this, you obviously could. And then with the darker ones, I stamped with a lighter stamp over top, but it left some stuff on my stamp itself. So I don't think this would work very well all the time, unless you have a stamp that you don't really care about. This one I did the opposite. I did a black stamp over top. There's a tree. I just really like how they turned out because the slippery surface it's coated, right? So the alcohol ink doesn't go all the way in, but I did wipe off some of it. So you can see the marker strokes in some, and in others you can't. So it's kind of interesting how some will turn out and others, they're a little bit more subtle. So this one is obviously a lot darker, and I just wiped off the edges around it and left the center a little bit darker. So it's kind of cool. And then I used some lighter colors. Let's see. There we go. Some lighter colors. I just really just dabbed it because they're little, really small alcohol ink squares, or alcohol rather, rubbing alcohol. You start with the lighter one, and then you just keep going towards the darker one so that you're not using too many of the swabs. So they're just really interesting to look at. And they make a great base for any kind of mixed media kind of ephemera kind of thing. So that's basically what I've been experimenting with. And I just really like how it turned out. So I'm not wasting, alcohol swabs or anything like that. I'm just reusing the same one over and over. So anyway, and they're expired. So not that they really expired 100%, I don't think. You can still use them for different things if you're not comfortable using them in your first aid kit. So, and then here I started experimenting a little bit. I did use a white Sharpie, but it's not showing up very well because of the alcohol ink. But it does leave some kind of marking behind. I don't know if you can tell. So it really looks kind of interesting. So I started out with that. And, it worked out quite nicely. I'm really happy with those. The experimentation is going along nice. And then I got a little bit more creative and tried something like this. So this is a box. I created it out of cards. So I just decoupage the outside. I don't really bother with the bottom. You can if you want. If you want to put little feet on it with beads, you absolutely could. You could really make it as fancy or as simple as you possibly want. So then I started experimenting with cutting out the centers, just the little part where, the the image is. And then I started, working on cutting out using my old punches that I have. These are Fiskus punches, and I have a bunch of different shapes. So I'm just getting my old tools out and experimenting, basically. That's all I'm doing. So, that's the back of the card. And I try to use the same deck, but it doesn't really matter. Just an old deck of cards. Dollar store has them cheaply. I'm sure you have some lying around your house. If you wanted to make some ephemera that was fairly, creative, made by yourself, if you wanted to give some away in a Happy Mail or whatever, these would make great little frames for black and white photos. maybe not so much with the people on it from Tim Holtz, but anything like this, or this, or this, if you had an image in behind it, that you would cut out small enough so that you can put a little bit of washi tape or a little bit of clear double-sided tape, or even attach it to this and then have it in behind. So let's see. Let's say, for all intents and purposes, this is our picture. And then you can go and put that in behind. So if you cut that out, you can have it like that. So I have a bunch of these because I kept them. I don't know why, but you know, it's the crafter in everyone. So all you do is put it in behind like that. And then you can attach it to the image that's already here. And then it'd be quite nice so that you don't see any of it around the outside, because that's where you're going to be doing your punching. So you can get as creative as you like. A lot of you have the Martha Stewart lace punches and things like that. I think that would look quite nice. If they're small enough, I think you have to be careful around the edge. It depends on how much you want to take away from your card. So I like the idea of using the Fiskars hole punches because there's so many different shapes and sizes and whatnot else. Or you could just use a regular hole punch, a regular circle punch, and then if you have a smaller one, then you can use that. So you can get as creative as you want with it. Make it look as delicate as possible, or you can, you know, for all intents and purposes, keep it simple and move along. So that's just kind of fun to do. And I really like how these turn out. So some of this, some of these die cuts I've had for a very long time. Some I've had fairly recently, so it depends on what you feel like using. You could use found objects too, it doesn't matter. You could even cut out some photographs and put it on there. So let's say, you know, it's somebody's birthday, like 10th birthday, and you have some pictures of their favorite things and then put an image of them behind it. And then it can be a keepsake. So if they get the card, you can make a pocket for it to put it in there, or you can have it on the front of the card. You can do a bunch of different things. So I kind of like the idea of having these around, just, you know, see and experiment and what I can come up with, which is a lot of the fun for most crafters. So these were the ones that I had made last week, and some of you will have seen these already. They turn out wonderful. So this is the next generation kind of thing. And then when I did my, well, some of you may not like it, but it's, I tried to process things in different ways, in creative ways. So I did a COVID-19 kind of journaling kind of thing, but in a scrapbook way. So what I did is I did all my cards and then I attached them together. And I used a quote from Pinterest to sort of fill out the details. So all you do is you attach them, okay, with some masking tape. That's it. And then you have them all facing the same way. Make sure they're the right way up. And my plan is to use some cardstock behind it and sort of, you know, write my own journaling kind of thing and have sort of a timeline of what I've been doing while I've been self-isolating, what I've been hearing on the news and things like that. You know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because not everybody rises to the occasion during these kinds of incidents. And it's kind of interesting to see later on and sort of document what is going on and see how things have progressed, if at all. So that's the plan with this. But as you can see, it is basically, you know, just a little photo, well, not a photo album, it's a scrapbook, a miniature version. So this says, someday everything will make perfect sense. So for now, laugh at the confusion, smile, whoops, through the tears, and keep reminding yourself that everything happens for a reason. And then I had some room for another little quote. It said, we don't grow when things are easy, we grow when we face challenges. So it's kind of interesting for myself for later on to look back on this and see how I have dealt with certain things and how the world deals with things, because we all do it differently. And, this is my way of doing it. So I like the idea of having it in a format where I can still have it on the shelf kind of thing. And I just made a little box for it. And again, it's not for everyone, but it's some people write in a journal, others do it in a scrapbook, and this is how I do it. I remember when SARS first came out back in the day, and I don't remember a lot of it because I didn't document it. So I wanted something that I could look back on and um, see the growth in myself and in the world, in other people. So it's kind of nice to have that on hand. So those are the things I've been making with cards. Again, it's not something um, that is overly expensive. You can experiment with alcohol markers and, just some ephemera, some cut pieces of paper. If you see here, I took some coordinating paper, I just cut circles and I cut them in half and then I glued them on just, for something a little bit different. And then you can just create something completely unique, something that you can use in different formats. You can use it in your journal, you can use it as a frame, you can use it on a birthday card or an anniversary card. This would be really pretty with an anniversary picture or an old wedding photo of the couple you're sending it to. Since we're doing this whole physical distancing, sending stuff in the mail, even though they might not get it right away due to the pandemic, but eventually they'll get it, and it's kind of nice to receive something in the mail that otherwise people would be missed. So anyway, that is basically it for the creating of things with cards. And then what else have I been doing? Oh, I've been creating other things. Ta-da! So I will leave a link down below on the person. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, so I've been watching some other people creating some pretty amazing things. And I will leave some of the names below that I've been watching. And I've made this out of chipboard, and I just put all my highlighters and my pens in there for my journaling. I made a little thing in the front for, I don't know, washies, tape, whatever you want to use it for. I needed something a little bit bigger. I had it in drawers, but it wasn't quite big enough. And I wanted something a little bit prettier. So that's what I did there. And then what else did I do? Yes. So I have been watching, like I said, lots of videos, lots of other crafty ladies out there, and creating some envelope flip books. So I basically treated these as something separate from what you would normally put in a junk journal. So basically, it's 2 envelopes, you cut off a piece. I will link the video down below on how to make these. I'm not going to do a tutorial on it. This lady did a really nice job of teaching it, and I didn't want to take that away, but I wanted to show that, there's some really handy people out there who are creating some amazing things that we can, make for ourselves. And then this is one of these. So I just made a little, little pockets and used some trim, created a little journal, things like that. I thought that turned out really, really well. And then, I should have had this all ahead of me, but you know me, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I don't really think ahead. So what I've done also is create some other leather journals. So now I've had these leather pieces, little leather trim pieces for a while, and I just buy offcuts. I don't really go and buy a lot of leather. I just wanted to try it one time. So what I did is I made little, they're not a traveler notebook size, but I wanted to make something that I could take with me when I'm drawing and sketching ideas and stuff like that. And I used a couple of envelopes for little pockets, and then some scrapbook paper. And then I just made my little journal out of leather. I make the cover first and then I make the notebooks. I don't try to do it the other way around because I don't know how much I have. So in here, I made a hole that wasn't quite, I'd wanted to do a double and it didn't work out. So I just put a little brad in there so it would just hold nicely. Something a little bit different because here I did it with a little star, which you can do on anything. I mean, I think you could really potentially do something like that all along here. You can lace it up with some ribbon, do whatever you feel like. But because the shape is so awkward, because this piece of leather was that way, so it's damaged leather and whatnot else, but I got it fairly inexpensive. And then I just made a little notebook. So this one is a bit more of a darker color. And then I just, you know, worked with it and then made the little strap for it, or elastic, whatever, the closure. And then this is the tiny one. Look how cute it is. Because I really just wanted to use the leather. I didn't want it to just sit around and do nothing. I actually wanted to use it and create something with it. So these little notebooks, you know, this one has an interesting kind of way how it worked out. So I only did 2 holes instead of 3, as you can see, and it's sort of folded almost like a scrapbook, which is kind of interesting, but I like how it turned out. I like how little it is, and I just created little, I used some sketching paper for drawing. I can draw and I can do some ideas, and some envelopes in there for tucking away little things, you know, if you wanted to press some flowers or whatever. But I really liked how it turned out, and it really is unique because you're sort of, your constraints are the size of the leather itself and the shape of it. So I tried to make the most of what I had and create something useful out of it. So that is everything I have been busy with. So like I said, you know, from cards to notebooks to envelope flip books. Again, I will leave a link down below for the envelope flip books. And I have a tutorial on how to make journal covers from placemats. It's the same theory with leather. So it depends on what you have on hand. You can do it with a placemat, you can do it with leather, you can do it with paper, whatever you feel like. So I will leave a link to that below. And yeah, I hope we are all staying safe and happy and healthy. I know this is going to take a little bit longer than we all thought. Um, but, you know, we'll get through this one way or another. And those of us who have hobbies, probably more so than others, because, you know, boredom will set in after the novelty wears off. Let's put it that way. It's nice to be at home, but, you know, it's like when you go on vacation, you come home and it's like, oh, yeah, now it's like I need to just do something completely different. And most of us are just stuck indoors, unfortunately. And with the weather being nicer, it would be nice to be outside more and do things, but you know, it is what it is. As long as we stay, ooh, excuse me, as long as we stay creative and, you know, busy doing things that we normally would not get the chance to do, then I think we'll be okay. You know, we're all in this together and we can come up with new ideas, new creative ways of making and doing things, and we can all learn from each other. So I think that's important to realize that there is more to life than just work and, you know, um, work and play. So we can create also. Anyway, enough rambling. Sorry about that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you like. You can watch all my other videos. I have quite a few of them out there. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.